Very briefly, this is the first of 3 trips I made to the Three Ponds area in 2018. In this first trip, I hiked up to Middle Pond on the Three Ponds Trail, following Sucker Brook in late June. I think it was around June 29th. While I encountered delays due to rain, which limited my time in fishing and filming, and regretfully I left a camera mounting screw in my car, which prevented me from mounting my camera to a tripod or a chest harness, I can confirm, as you will see, that there are brook trout in the area. So for these reasons, I vowed to return. On my second trip, later that summer in August, I was determined to check out Upper Pond, which I believe is the largest of the 3 ponds. This time I hiked along a trail that follows Brown Brook and eventually merges with the Mount Kino Trail coming up from the trailhead parking lot. The reason I chose this trail is I had been told there were a couple of waterfalls, which I suspected might hold some brook trout. At around the 2.5 miles on the trail, on this Mount Kino Trail, it crosses a logging bridge. This is where you will pick up a trail called the Donkey Hill Cutoff. The trail doesn't get a lot of traffic, so it isn't noticeable at first, but start looking to your left about 20 feet before that bridge. Once you're on the trail, you won't have any problem following it. On my third and final trip in the fall of 2018, I wanted to spend more time checking out the fishing potential of Brown Brook. I took a little advantage of the elevation offered by leaving from the Three Ponds trailhead parking lot and hiked up the Mount Kino Trail. Three Ponds is a large wilderness area. There are several areas I still want to explore. Any future trips I make here are going to have to involve an overnight going forward. Well, today we're going to climb up to Three Ponds Trail. It's another one of the remote ponds that New Hampshire stocks with trout by helicopter. And it's a pretty easy climb, so it's the first of the year, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to break things in. Here's the actual the distance. So we're going to be taking up to the Three Ponds shelter. There's a shelter up there, so it's 2.3 miles, which isn't too bad. There is another way to come back down, which would make the total trip around about 5.4 miles. So I'll have to make that decision then, because typically the fishing gets better when it's a little later in the day. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I have over here a really nice, this is part of the White Mountains National Forest, and someone did a very nice job with a chart. You can see here that the Three Ponds, and there's the shelter, so I'm down there in the parking lot, and you can see how it's a basin. And in fact, it's actually one of the several headwaters for the Baker River, which is a really nice trout stream in New Hampshire as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of hopefully beaver and hopefully no bears, right? So it's good to say that we can drink the water, although I also have a water filtration system for me as well. So, well, so here's the trail, and here's it starts. Also, I've been told it's kind of a muddy trail, and some friends of my wife were up here last week. They do a lot of climbing and hiking and volunteering, and they actually did a lot of clearing on the trail. So that's going to be kind of neat to check out. But as you can see, it's pretty muddy. And there is a nice bridge that crosses a stream up here called Sucker Brook. But then I understand the next 3 crossings up beyond it are more or less, you're on your own. So hopefully the water's not too high. Well, this is Sucker Brook, and this is a really beautiful bridge. They say that the future crossings higher up are going to be, more of a, well, there won't be any bridges, I guess, but that looks like a really nice pool over here, if you can see that. So This is definitely going to be worth fishing and checking out and seeing if there's some brook trout, because they would definitely be living in a little pool like that. Well, it's a nice little area. This pool looks like my vision is blocked by this little hemlock tree, but once again, all these nice little pools from this stream coming down. Lots of potential. I mean, like, look at that little hole right down there just after that little waterfall with the little tree branch stuff on there. I mean, that's exactly where a little brook trout might hide. Well, I'm starting to, I still have a little more, I have a little less than a mile to the 3-pond shelter. It started to rain. Although being underneath the trees, there seems to be a good deal of protection. But also wanted to share with you, this is the same little sucker stream here. It looks as though this area up here may actually be out in the open a little bit. Boy, it sure looks like moose country. You know, because the moose do like these high altitude areas. As you can see, we're starting to see the basin. And so the ponds are going to be off in that direction. That's really, really, really pretty. So nice June 29th. Oh, this looks like a beaver dam. Yeah, if you get some beaver dams in here too, that'll hold the water. And we'll start to see some nice little trout. So lots of interesting potential. You know, I'll bet that's also part of the reason why there's a big clearing here is the beavers. Although it looks to me like this beaver dam hasn't been repaired in a long time. Otherwise, this would probably be a pretty big pond. Well, this is nice. I thought one of the guides or maps that I had to said something to the effect of by having to cross the street in a few places, and this really is a second bridge. My sense is that we're going to be crossing a stream here, and that's the better area to cross up this way. Oh yeah, sure. Wow. They really have done some improvement. Check this out. Look at that bridge. Yeah, this definitely was the place. So, wow. Oh, so that other little stream I crossed earlier probably wasn't the actual brook. It was probably just an offshoot. So this is a Sucker Brook again. And this looks like a good spot to, a little dry right here. I'm gonna pack up some equipment for a little while with the rain coming in. Well, I was kind of hoping that it would, well, the weather said that we'd be getting maybe, thunder showers, that possible storm later tonight, like around 8 or 9 o'clock, with maybe just a passing shower. So, thank goodness for the shelter here at 3 Ponds, because at least it's nice and dry. It's well made. It'd be nicer if there were a little more of a view, but as you can see, a lot of these, the pond is right down there, but a lot of the trees and shrubs have grown up. I guess that's probably a pretty good thing in the wintertime. Because you probably have some, some of these trees here don't lose their leaves. You've got some hemlocks So that'll probably breaks the wind a little bit. So I'm facing west, and it is a really interesting looking pond, and it definitely has potential for trout. But and I can see out a little corner out here, so I can still see that it's still raining pretty heavily out there. So I'll give it a little while. We'll see if the rain subsides, and then we can check out the fishing. Well, it looks like my patience has paid off. The rain has stopped. My daughter actually, I had like 1 bar of reception here, so I really couldn't talk on a cell phone, but you can get text messages through, and my daughter actually sent me a weather map which showed that most of the rain had passed, and that if I just waited out an hour, and actually I think a little less than an hour, it actually would subside. So it did. And so this was my little this is the shelter here at Three Ponds, and it actually feels like the rain is starting to pick up a little again. It could be the occasional, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head on down to the pond, and we're going to take a look and see if there's some good fishing spots. And let's see if we can achieve some of the objectives that we sought for. But to be honest, even though it was supposed to be just a cloudy day, and even though we did get the rain, the shelter here was just great. It's really dry. It's well maintained for a shelter. I mean, you have your own little broom, and you can come here and you can camp, and you're allowed to have a fire and stuff like that. So this was pretty good. I don't know if I'd want to spend the night here, but if I had a tent, I might be able to do that. So nice options, and so I'm going to head on down, and I'll take you with me. Okay, so we're going to leave the shelter behind. And we're going to head on down this little trail here. I have to be a little careful because with the recent rain, the leaves and the wood here are all kind of wet. But it is nice that the rain finally stopped. And we have a chance now to check out this little. So you look it's amazing that I'm only a few feet away from that shelter, and it's almost disappeared. Real thick woods around here. And I'm really happy that the rain finally ended. Get a chance to check out this pond. So it was a little bit of a prolonged lunch break, but wow, check this out. So it looks nice now. We're going to walk around and see if there's any good spots for fishing. But at the same time, might have a chance to see if there's going to be any rises or any signs of fish. Now they stock this annually, and it's usually around mid-June that the helicopter flies. And of course, what they're throwing in are little tiny things. But within a year, those things will be 5 and 6 inches, and then within another year, you're going to start seeing those 8 and 9 inch brook trout. So, there's usually when I'm out here in these little ponds, you tend to, well, of course, it's always a factor of numbers. You tend to catch a lot of the 5 and 6 inch brook trout, but I've been catching some good, 12 inch ones recently. Native brook trout too. So this seems to have been a really good year for their survival. I guess maybe because the winter really wasn't that cold. I don't know. So this was a little shortcut to the hut. As you can see, I decided not to take it because it looked like it would be a little bit of a little chancy with the rain. But it brings you right down to the pond area here, which is nice. And I could get off a few roll casts from here. we start seeing some fish rise. And if not, I've got a few, hoppers and things like that. Now there's a mayfly. Just got a little mayfly. Just took off. Let's see if it's going to come down my way. So that's a good sign. Yeah. Feels like the weather's getting a little warmer too, which is nice. Supposed to get really hot this weekend, so I thought today would be a good day to go out fishing. It's right now, it's been in like the 60s all day. So I guess this over here is Mount Carr. And then far over that way, maybe you really can't even see it, is Mount Keno. Or Keno Mountain. And there's some more bugs coming off. So this could be good. Timing is everything, and this is June 29th, so this should be a good time of year for some action. I don't know how late I want to stay, but I did bring my headlamps, which is nice. Oh, another little shortcut down from the shelter. Now this trail continues all the way much further north, but there's also a part that splits off to the right. And, could be worth taking that back, but it looks to me like all of a sudden the rain is starting to start up again out here. Let's hope that's just something that's just a little drizzle passing through, the tail end of the storm, if you will. Because I don't want to be forced back up into the shelter. This area it's not as frequently visited as other parts of the White Mountains. At least that's what I read, and I'm the only one here today. Of course we have a big weekend coming up, so there'll be people coming up this weekend. But if you really want to come out and enjoy, there's a little mayfly. If you really want to come out and enjoy solitude, I have not heard an airplane or a truck sound or anything since I've been out here, other than some birds and of course the rain. It does look like it's starting to get a little heavier. Well, I'm going to assume it's something that's just passing through. I'm not racing back up to that shelter right now. So I'm going to continue to walk around and scope out this place. As you can see, it's a pretty muddy trail. Now, I did bring with me some waders, but they're lightweight ones. They're kind of like stocking waders or something. You attach them to your belt, so like big long boot things. And but also I didn't bring. I brought these kind of like sandals, waterproof sandals that I can put on the bottoms, so that if I step on a sharp object, the waders don't rip and leak. But they're not really what I would call wading boots. But I'm trying to come up with ideas and things that reduce weight, because I'm carrying a lot of I'm going to carry some film equipment as well as fishing gear. So not exactly, well, yeah, but then I'm also not spending the night. That looked like moose prints. I have to keep my eye out for those. They probably use the same trail. But I'm not carrying stuff to spend the night, so I guess it all equals out. In fairness, I didn't weigh my pack, but I'm going to bet it's probably a little over 30 pounds. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing some moose coming out a little later. This looks ideal habitat for moose. Bogs like this. So we just came across some options we have. So that's a 3-pond trail. That's going to continue up to the next pond. And then down here, this is the other trail for heading back down to the Stinson Lake Road, which is 2.7 miles. And I guess climbing up Mount Kino. I'm going to probably head up this way for a little bit, just to see if I can check out that other pond. But I do want to check out to see what this area over here just looks like. It's probably a little more swampy, but it seems like a little stream coming in. And you never know with these little streams, right? Did you just see that rise? Yeah. So, I mean, it could be, this is very accessible from a fishing standpoint. This looks fishy. I might just give this a little try. You'll have to bear with me here. One of the mistakes I made was I didn't bring, an attachment that I could put the camera on my chest and take you fishing with me. So I got to figure out a different way in order to do that. Sort of thinking about it. Thinking about how I can pull that off. Okay, so this is the north end, or close to the north end of the middle pond. And I'm really kind of debating. I'm starting to see some mayflies coming off. I don't think you could probably see that with this camera. Because, these are little tiny, very lightly colored semi-brown insects. But with a little bit of a mayfly hatch, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to where the little stream was coming in, which is a little over to the left side here. And I think what I'll do is I'll get my waders on, and we'll try a little fishing. So I have the camera in a waterproof container. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, but the rain is starting to come down, and I don't have my pack, but I've noticed one fish rising over here, and I've got another one rising over there. So what I thought I could do is I'll turn the camera perhaps back on when and if I catch one. I'll catch one. I forgot to bring a mounting screw to attach my camera to my chest harness and free up my hands for fishing while still filming. I've been trying to put into words my frustration casting with one hand while holding a camera in the other. Fish were rising, but I was unable to cast close enough to make a difference. Yeah, the rain's just getting too much. It's too much. Trying to do little delicate roll casts while holding this camera, trying to entice. I saw this trout rise a couple of times. I almost had one back there, and I reached for the camera, and I don't barb my hooks, and it got off, and I was like, oh, because I didn't keep the tension. I finally gave up and stuck the camera in my pocket, thinking I could pull it out after catching a fish. The first fish I caught wiggled off the hook before I could turn the camera on. Luckily, the second brook trout stayed on long enough for me to show you. I did catch another before the skies started getting dark and the rain started pouring heavily. At that point, I packed up my gear, made a vow to return, and hiked out.